Welcome back here, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. It's Zach Gelb and Mike Zahn here with you. Time in the WHIP studios is 11:32. We're going to welcome into the show right now one of our favorite coaches in America, and that's Josh Pastner, the head coach of the Memphis Tigers. Coach, welcome back to Philly. Thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, and rather you guys be talking about Memphis than me talking about the four other schools for this upcoming Final Four. I do want to say congratulations to Villanova and Jay Wright, who obviously that's in your backyard there. And what a great coach that Coach Wright is. What a great program that he runs. And I've said this before, Coach Dunphy over at Temple, who back-to-back coaches of the year in the American Conference, what he's done both at Penn and now at Temple, he should definitely be in the Basketball Hall of Fame, should be considered for it. I think there should be a movement for that. I'm a big Coach Dunphy fan, and I just want to throw those 2 cents in there.
And really, we have a lot of good coaches here in Philadelphia. And for Jay Wright, though, Coach, as you know, a big task for him, something that's going to keep him up very late when preparing for this game, is going to be Buddy Hield. And a big reason why we brought you on today was because you guys went up against Buddy Hield earlier in the year, and he was 4 of 8 from 3, 9 of 19 from the field, really filled the stat sheet, 8 of 10 from the free throw line, threw in 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. Just what stood out the most to you when you went up against Buddy Hield?
Well, I think before we played them on the tape, because we were their first countable game, they had played 2 exhibition games, and I had told our staff in our staff meeting in preparation for the game versus Oklahoma, I said, man, this guy just on tape, he's a pro. He's an absolute pro. I mean, I think that word gets thrown around so loosely in this day and age, and it's so hard to really be a pro, to play in the NBA. It's nearly impossible to do. It's such a competitive field to get into, or into that league with such few spots. And I had said that he's a legit pro. And then after we played him, I said he's by far, a lottery pick. I mean, he's a top 5 pick. He's a pro prospect, and that could contribute and play in the NBA next season. And I think of anyone that we played all year long, he's the one guy that was a true ready for the NBA next season and produce of anyone else that we played. And his ability to shoot the ball, his first step is excellent, but what has made his game what it is his ability to make threes. And because you can't guard him too tight, because he is such a fast, explosive first step, he's able to get by you. He doesn't have wasted movement. I mean, he just is a downhill straight line driver. But because of his ability to shoot the ball, you're forced to have to guard him. You can't back off and just play the drive because he's too good of a player in term that he's multi-dimensional. And he's hit some big shots this year. He's carried Oklahoma on their back. And if they're going to win the championship over these next 2 games, they're going to beat Villanova and whether it's Carolina or Syracuse. Buddy's going to have to carry him and put Oklahoma on their back. And each game he's going to need to probably hit in high 20s, low 30s for them to win.
And that's what he's doing right now, as he's averaging just under 30 points per game in these last 4 games in the NCAA tournament. When Jay's probably preparing for him, he knows that you just can't stop him. Maybe you could contain a Buddy Hield and just, he's going to go out there and get his points, but you can't just do it with one man. I guess the approach is to put multiple looks at a Buddy Hield, right?
Well, you can put multiple looks, or you just, figure you're not going to stop him. I mean, you're not going to hold him scoreless. He's going to score. You can make it tough on him, or what you do is, okay, listen, he's going to get his. Let's not let Cousins or Woodard or anyone else on the team get a bunch of buckets that's unnecessary. And because you're not going to hold Oklahoma scoreless, they're going to score, and Buddy's going to score. So do you just focus on shutting him down, or do you know that, okay, let's make it tough on him, but let's really focus on eliminating everybody else and focus on that as part of the game plan?
We're talking to Memphis men's basketball head coach and Josh Pastner. And Coach, you mentioned about Woodard, and I'm so glad you did, because a lot of social media is always talking about Buddy Hield and what he can do, but Woodard averages 16.8 points per game in this tournament. So how would you defend not just one lethal weapon, but two lethal weapons when you're going up against them?
Well, you know what? A few things. Woodard has gotten a lot better. He has really improved. And he's really a catalyst for that team because of the way that he plays. He doesn't turn the ball over. Oklahoma's not going to beat themselves. You're going to have to beat Oklahoma, and part of that is based on the point guard play because of how Woodard and Cousins can move to the point as well too. But the way Woodard controls the game, controls the ball, controls the tempo, and takes care of it. He's so valuable to that group. And sometimes people talk about kind of cutting the head of the snake off, and that includes in like game planning. And a lot of people might think, well, Buddy Hield is the head of the snake. I don't believe so. I think the head of the snake is Woodard, because a lot of their actions and things that they set themselves up to do is via Woodard getting them set to put them in the right positions and then get Buddy the ball. If you can take Woodard out, what happens is now you might be forced to have Buddy actually get the ball at the top to run the point spot. Maybe you have Cousins there at times where he will play some point, but he's not as comfortable as Woodard is. But maybe that takes him out of rhythm and doesn't let him get in such of a rhythm offensively. And that's a good way for teams to give them trouble and take Oklahoma out of rhythm, because I think their strength is offense. I mean, it's not as much on the defensive end. I think you can score on Oklahoma. I think the key is being able to stop them offensively. And they're very good in transition offense. They're excellent after made baskets. They are very fast because they're not complicated. They throw that ball up, Woodard throws it up, and they play off of that transition basketball and score a lot of points that way.
Now, as you know, this is the most exciting time for college basketball, but as March rolls into April, unfortunately, there can only be one champion. So a couple coaches obviously have to go to that press conference after a loss, and then they talk about their senior class a lot. So two guys on your team, Shaq Goodwin and even a transfer, and Ricky Tarrant Jr., just what have they meant to your program, and what do you have to say about your senior core?
Well, you know what? I've had a good senior core. We've won a lot of games. We obviously didn't get the tournament this year. That's something that no one's happy about. We lost in the championship game of our conference tournament versus Connecticut. But, we got good young men, guys who are going to graduate. Shaq Goodwin. Our four seniors, three of the four are going to graduate. One, Ricky Tarrant, who had already graduated. So guys are graduating, and I think they'll be fine young men in society, and hopefully they'll have opportunities to continue playing basketball as a professional career, even if it's overseas. And then when the father time clock says it's time to hang it up, I do believe they'll be productive members in society. And I think part of our responsibility as head coaches here and coaches is you're not just a coach, you're a teacher, and you're trying to give them life lessons just on how to, just in every little aspect, on how to be a father when they have a chance to be a father, or how to be a husband, how to treat people the right way, and so all those guys are good examples of that, and they represent our university program at a very high level.
Coach, we know how much you have an admiration for your peers in this industry, just hearing what you said earlier about a Jay Wright or a Fran Dunphy, but you have two legends going up against it in the Final Four with Jim Boeheim's Syracuse squad that has been on an improbable run, going up against Roy Williams, who's back in another Final Four. And we know your story pretty well. You've wanted to be a coach for a very long time. You took an abnormal amount of credits in college to graduate a little bit early, and then you quickly rose through the ranks and are now the head coach at Memphis. Just how much admiration do you have for a coach like Jim Boeheim and Roy Williams?
Well, listen, both guys are in the Hall of Fame, and both guys have done it for a long time at, Coach Boeheim at Syracuse, pretty much, I think for his whole life there's been a head coach there, and Coach Williams been at Kansas and Carolina, and both guys have been extremely successful. The facts are the facts, because they're both in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And on the other side, Jay Wright, who's been to his second Final Four, look what he's done at Villanova there, and Lon Kruger at Oklahoma. I think Lon Kruger's taken 5 different teams to the NCAA tournament. I mean, you got 4 guys who are extremely successful, 2 in the Hall of Fame, and it bodes well for our profession. And all 4 guys are elite at their work, they're elite at what they do, and I don't think there's going to be any time slowing them down. I mean, you see a guy like Coach Boeheim or Coach Williams. I mean, both those guys. I mean, I know Coach Boeheim said he's got he's got 3 years left. So after this year, maybe 2 years. But I think Coach Williams could coach another 10 years. I mean, Jay Wright's right now in his prime. I mean, Lon Kruger could probably coach another 8 to 10 years, and which bodes well for our profession. So keep having those legends coach. It's better for everybody.
The beauty of March is you never know who's going to win the darn thing, and Boeheim's squad has just been on this miraculous run. Just what have you seen out of them, and how have they got on this run to the Final Four? Because not many people thought this would be the case.
The biggest reason is because Michigan State lost to Middle Tennessee. That's why. I mean, I think if Michigan State had won that game, Michigan State would be playing on Saturday and not Syracuse. But that's what's the beauty of the tournament and the one-game scenario anything can happen. And you got to give Syracuse credit. They were down late in the game versus Gonzaga, and they found a way to win the game. And then they were obviously, listen, I was watching the game. They were down, 14, 15, or 16 and a half. I turned it off because I went to go my little daughter, took her for a walk outside. I came back, and I turned it on, and they were up 5. And that's a credit to Coach Boeheim. I mean, and you heard all the commentators talking about the adjustments that he made. To get to the Final Four, you have to be so good. You also have to have some luck involved, a ball to bounce your way, a call to go your way, a break to go your way, and that's all part of it. And the bottom line is they're hot right now, and the way they're playing, and they're a dangerous team. I do think Carolina's going to win it all. I do think they're going to end up winning the whole thing. And that would be my pick. I think that the best team. I felt Kansas and Carolina the 2 best teams in the country, and but so I do think Carolina will end up win it all after cutting down the nets on Monday night.
So considering you're a head coach at Memphis, obviously you follow what happens at the American schools. 4 teams made it in. What do you think of the selection committee getting 4 teams into the tournament?
Well, I thought it was great for our league. Dan Leibowitz, I think you guys know who Dan is,
yep.
A longtime assistant with John Chaney, who's now kind of runs our basketball, and Mike Oresko, who's the commissioner of our league. Both did a wonderful job, and have 4 teams in is great for our league, and all 4 teams deserve to be in. Of course, we wish we were in, and but it bodes well for our league, and hopefully we can continue to expand on that and keep it at 4 or even get more in next season.
You won a national championship when you were playing in college as a walk-on in 1997, and you went through that grueling task of completing a Final Four, beating UNC in Kentucky. Just what do you remember about that Final Four run and cutting down the nets?
Well, we were the only team to ever beat 3. And for your listeners out there, I was on the Arizona team, the University of Arizona team that won the national championship in 1997. And you had talked about earlier about my degree. I'd actually got my bachelor's degree at Arizona in 5 semesters, in 2.5 years.
I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, I took 45 hours my freshman year, 42 my sophomore year, which gave me 87. You need 120 to graduate. I took all 33 hours. I was in class 8 to 1 every day in my 5th semester. And I didn't have any units coming in, nor did I take any summer school. It was all within the semesters regulated. And I was a student athlete at the time. And then my 6th semester, I did 18 hours of master's work, and my 7th semester did 15 hours plus my thesis, and got my master's. So in 7 semesters, I got a bachelor's and master's. But however, all that, in '97, we won the national championship. We're the only team to beat 3 number 1 seeds. We beat Kansas. We were the 4 seed at the time. We beat Kansas in the Sweet 16 game. They were the number 1 seed. In the Final Four game, we beat Dean Smith in North Carolina. They were the number 1 seed, and that was actually Coach Smith's last game that he ever coached. And then in the championship, we beat Coach Rick Pitino in Kentucky. They were the 1 seed, and so we beat 3 1 seeds, and that was Coach Pitino's last game before he ended up taking over the Boston Celtics the following year.
Wrapping up with Josh Pastner, who joins us right now. Just getting back to the credits thing real quickly. Do you at all laugh when, like, a kid now comes to you and say, hey, I'm having trouble focusing in this class, or, I can't manage my time? Because I just don't get how you manage your time like that. It's something that, as a college student right now, I would never be able to take that many credits in a semester.
You know what? I believe in time management and not procrastinating. I believe in efficiency, and what happens? I think a lot of times people, and this is not just with school, but I just think in life, people put things off, and they just are not able to manage their time well. I'm not a big fluff guy. Like I'm more to the point, and I think that helps me be more efficient. And so I think that's just in life. I think when you're organized and you're disciplined on every single day of what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and you have a mindset of that, I think it helps you get to where you want to get to. However, I've seen many people skin a cat different ways. That doesn't mean that's guaranteed any success. That just works for me. And what I needed to do, and back there in college, that's what it was. Did I sacrifice some things? Sure, I sacrificed going out on some of those Friday, Saturday nights, and people could sit there and say, well, you missed out on college experience. I probably missed out on some things in college. I would agree with that. But my goals were to get to, I had certain goals in life, and I wanted to achieve, and when you have goals, there's going to be parts of sacrifices, and that's just part of it. And so sometimes you give things up to get things where you want to get to, and that's the way I felt like I did academically.
So I'm just going to take a guess. In the Pastner household, when your daughter gets a little bit older, she won't be missing any homework assignments, right?
Let me just tell you this. It's amazing. As much as I believe in discipline, and even with my own team, I got 3 little daughters at home, and according to my wife, I do zero discipline. They just walk home, and I just can't help it. Because it's just kind of that daddy-daughter connection. And my wife's a disciplinarian at home, and I just, when they kind of have that face, they look at you. I just have straight given to them. So I have to be better about that, and my wife's told me that many, many times.
A soft spot in Josh Pastner. Coach, always fun to talk to you. We appreciate the few minutes.
Okay, guys, anytime. Look forward to talking to you soon.
There's Josh Pastner joining us on the hotline, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.